All right, so the 385 is back from Dyno Joe. We got a dyno run on it. We're gonna go over the dyno results. We're gonna make a couple of cuts with it. We're gonna run the tack on it, and we're gonna kind of go over all the results to see just how it did. Alrighty, full ported up, yeah, results. And he even compared it to a stock 390. So we have a comparison of my ported 385 to a stock 390 to go along with it as well. But first, we're gonna show you something. I have been working on my, what do they call this? Just the 4 cube class, I think. It's the 80, whoa, big old bug. But it's the 82 cc and under class. And well, I'm nearing completion with the project. And I've talked to you multiple times that, I couldn't decide what saw to build. It was either gonna be the Dalmar 7900, a 370, or one of two 372s, a big bore setup or a 50 millimeter setup or something, you know what I mean? It was gonna be one of those saws, and today I'm gonna reveal what it is. It's almost done. I just ran into a little hiccup, so I gotta wait for some parts to come in the mail, you know? It's quite typical with building saws that have been, they're old and they're beat up, you know what I mean? So you gotta expect some hiccups, but we're getting there. She's done, she's assembled. I just need a little tiny part, or two. But yeah, let me go ahead and show you that, and then we're gonna go onto the 385, get her barred up and make some cuts, and then I'll show you all the dyno results. Alrighty, so here we go. So there she is in all her glory. We decided to go with the Dalmar 7900 setup. This started life as a 7300, I believe. It was definitely a 50 millimeter bore whenever we first started it out, and now it's on a 52 millimeter style build. She's nearly complete. The air filter is just kind of resting on there right now. I don't have it clamped down, but yeah, she's nearing completion. She was a basket case. She had issues all over. I did put the compression release back in because she's got some thump to her, The handlebar was all chewed up, so she got a little electrical tape repair job. I'm actually not certain what this stall started life as. There's so many mismatched parts between Dalmar and Makita, I could not tell you which it was actually started life out as. But I went with that 7900 style of a build, okay? It is the aftermarket top end. It's the $100 cheap top end that I threw on it. And yeah, this is what we're going with. Here she is from this side. Over here's one of the repairs I need to make. The chain brake, whatever it is that needs to hold this guy here and put that pin there and stuff, whatever it is that's there. I don't know what it is, it's missing. So the chain brake has no function to it. So in order to keep me from accidentally tripping the chain brake, I removed the band. So I still have the band and all the parts for that, but whatever it is that holds this for the chain brake is the only thing keeping me from having a functioning chain brake. And the issue I'm actually running to is the carburetor. So I can get her to pop off, but as soon as I start it, she starts shoving air backwards up the fuel line. So something's going on with that carburetor. It is a Zama or whatever, and I'm gonna have to investigate that some more. Might be ordering a new carburetor just to avoid issues, you know what I mean? But we'll see. We'll see if it might be something simple, but I'm planning on ordering another carburetor for it. And that's the only thing keeping me from testing this saw right now. What else? Oh, you guys are familiar with my mufflers, right? This one's a little different. I made this guy a little fat and ugly. He looks a little drunk to me. You guys have seen my Angry Man mod, right? Well, this guy's a little lopsided, and I don't know. I thought, let's see if we can make him look just a little tad bit drunk. That just amuses me, you know what I mean? But yeah, There she is. That's the drunk guy. You know what this makes me think of? You know the drunk guy from The Simpsons? The dude in the bar is like, "I Homer," or whatever, you know what I mean? That's what this is making me think of, you know? But yeah, there she is. We just got to figure out the carburetor, and we're ready to start testing, you know? Now, I can tell you the numbers on this are a little extreme, so I might have to go back into it. The intake is very long. It's at 88 degrees, so heck, that might even be what's causing my carburetor issue, because, you know, that intake just might be too long. Might be trying to push stuff back air in reverse, you know what I mean? From all the spit back. So I'm going to try a different carburetor. If the symptoms are identical, then I'll know that, you know, my intake's too long. And the intake got that long from all the machine work I did. So, you know, it just means I'll have to take the top end off and do some JB weld. I'm going to see if she runs without the JB weld first. I don't normally run my intakes that long. So it was a byproduct of the machine work. I decided that I'll do the machine work I wanted, and then we'll deal with the numbers later, you know. But there she is. We're getting there. She's almost done. Now, if this all happens to be a failure, a big flop, I do have the 372s here that I'm working on. So we'll see. We'll see how this develops. But hopefully it's, you know, it should be this or 372 build. What do you say we get our saw out of the box? We haven't seen this thing in a long time. It's got a dyno on it. Well, I'm super happy that it's back. I had mentioned to Joe that I need a new cutter for my large mandrel, you know, my squish band cutter, because I do almost all my squish band work with the Dyno Joe cutter. It's just Nicosil. Sometimes you got to deal with Nicosil, and so you just use like 40 grit sandpaper or something, 80 grit or whatever you want to use till you get through the Nicosil. Then you go to his large squish cutting mandrel thing, and it cuts like butter. But he sent me a new bit. Pretty sweet there. But here she is. Just from looking at it right now, I'm already like, you know what? I'm going to throw another air filter on that. This air filter is already getting chewed up, and it was like the cheapest one I could find. I think I'll buy a better air filter for it. But yeah, it's quite interesting, some of the things we discovered, you know. Look at this one. This is this muffler mod. This one looks a little different. I tend to change them up a little bit over time, you know what I mean? But I like putting those faces on the front of my saws. I really enjoy it. I can make each one a little different, you know. I'm excited to have her back. What do you say we get a bar and chain on this thing, make a couple of cuts, and listen to this thing roar again? But first, I got to do a repair, because guess what? We discovered that all this time that I've been running this saw, we've only been getting 3/4 throttle out of it. The throttle cable is shot. It was kind of tore, and I got to put a throttle cable on it just to get her to go to full throttle. All this time you've seen video of it running, 3/4 throttle is all we had. So now I'm gonna fix that and get our throttle back. Ain't she cool? I like it. She's running pretty good. She stays above 12 grand in the cut for the most part. All right, so I got 3 little distractions that happened to distract me from what I was doing. So we lost our train of thought, and now we got to figure out where our distractions kind of left us off at so that we can kind of figure out and undo our distraction. So, alrighty, so anyway, so the saw test cut hovering right around 12,000 to 12,200 RPM cutting under full load. That wasn't like a free rev or anything like that. That wasn't like a light cut through the wood or nothing like that. That's actually where the saw is working at while deep into the cut. Between 12 and 12.2. It will drop lower. I mean, I could tug harder and get it to drop lower. I could, take it a little easier and get it to go, up to 12.5 or something. But for an average situation where we would be out cutting wood or anything like that, 12,000 to 12,200 RPM is probably where we would expect it to run at. Now, we do have dyno results. I'm sure you guys are anxious to see that. And it's quite interesting to see where on the graph this saw is cutting at. So if you look at the graph, you're going to see where in the graph 12,000 RPM falls, and you'll be able to see where the saw is actually wanting to live at according to where the graph is actually, showing. That's because dynos are, well, it's math. It is a combination of torque versus and RPM. So it's a combination of both. Some people misunderstand thinking that horsepower is just like your RPM side of it, and it's not. The actual math equation for horsepower involves torque. It's a combination of both torque and RPM. So if you want a lot of horsepower, you have to build a lot of RPM and a lot of torque, both. Not just one, not just the other. It is both. So, that's part of math. That's the way she works. But anyway, so you ready for the dyno results? We're going to throw them up on the screen. Probably do this as a voiceover. So what do you say? Let's do a little voiceover here and talk about our dyno results. Alrighty? All right, so the bottom two lines would be the stock 390, and the top two lines would be our ported 385. The stock one came in at 6.75 horsepower at 4.35 foot-pounds of torque, and our ported 385 came in at 8.87 horsepower at 5.65 foot-pounds of torque. So what's that look like? We gained just shy of 2 horsepower between a ported 385 and the stock 390. And I'm actually quite pleased with this. Managed to stretch that power out. Got her pushed up quite a bit up there on the top end compared to what the stock 390 would be. It's probably why I enjoy running this saw so much, Now, I've learned a lot in my quest of porting. And, these are great results, but I think we can do better. That's one of the nice, convenient things about using somebody like Dyno Joe here to get dyno results. This is a way for us to see on paper areas that we can improve. You know what I mean? And even though this looks great, this is a great running saw, I can see areas that I can make improvements, And that's kind of our quest. Do good, but always try to find that next step. Always reaching for that next level in our quest. You know what I mean? So for probably the last year, I think we've built 8 or 10 saws, and progressively I have learned more and more things. And this 385, I think, is maybe the second or third of those saws that I built. And since then, I've learned things that I think if I would have applied to this saw, I would have done better. Now, we did just witness that issue on the saw. For some reason, she's wanting to, it's acting like it's intermittent spark or something. It is a brand new coil. It's one of those unlimited coils. It is brand new. And I'm suspicious that my timing is actually running late. So I've never done a timing advance to this saw. So the results we are seeing is without any timing advance whatsoever. So usually a ported saw like this does do better with a timing advance. And that is something we can explore here in the future and possibly see what a change of timing advance might do to this saw. But I can tell you that over the last year here, I have learned a lot in porting, and I tell you for certain that I would have probably done it differently if I would have done it now than if I would have done it back then. So what's that mean? That means we got a great running saw, but I do have a 390 cylinder sitting here on the wall, and this saw was originally a 390. So I am considering doing it again in the future. We might do that, but part of me would rather start over with like a 394. I'm kind of I don't know, I kind of like 394s, and something deep down tells me to pick up a 394 to do. So we'll see how this goes. Now, I do plan on running this in the 100cc class at Sawfest, and if you've seen some of my recent builds, you'll be able to tell that this one is not as hot as some of the other ones that I've built. And that's my abilities progressing over time is what you're seeing here. So this is kind of like you see my abilities progress, and now here we are looking at something that I did a little while ago to see where my abilities were then versus where they are now. You know what I mean? So back then, I had a goal of like 12,000 to 12,500 RPM. Just getting a saw to stay above 12,000 RPM, hard, deep in the wood, was my goal. Now, that has changed. My goal now is to stay above 13,000 consistently, build after build. And I'm getting better at that. And ultimately, my goal is to start achieving like 14, 15,000 or even better. You know what I mean? And it's like a goal, and we're kind of seeing how things are progressing over time, you know? But it's always good to look at stuff like this, because you can learn a lot about what you've done in the past compared to what you're doing now. You can feel it. I mean, I ran that saw in the wood, and I can feel a difference between it and some of the other ones that I've done recently. I can feel a difference. So, you know, I can kind of reflect and kind of, how would you say, relive the experience all over again. You know, back when I first put this saw together, I'm sure you guys have seen it. You can remember how excited I was over this saw, don't you? And I was, and I still love the way this saw runs, I do. But deep down inside, I kind of know that I could do better. And that's something that we will explore here in the future, you know? But yeah, don't hesitate with dynos, especially, you know, sending your saw to Dyno Joe or something. You could build one yourself. I might do that someday, but right now it is not anywhere in my plans. It's not the money. It's like a dyno. To me personally, I don't know. I'm afraid a dyno is a great tool until you own one. It's one of those things. That's kind of what I'm afraid of. So, for the amount it costs to ship a saw over to Dyno Joe and get it back with dyno results, I could probably dyno a decent number of saws by the time I built one, just paid for the cost of building one, and then all the time invested into the building of it and everything. I think I'd rather just use his services, at least for now, you know? So that's my plan with dynos. I don't plan on sending every saw to him. I'll pick one periodically, and right now there's a pull-in sitting here that I'm really thinking about sending to him. So that nothing like that'll happen until after Saw Fest, but I'm really thinking about it. But anyway, hey, I hope you enjoyed this little video. Our dyno results are in, and I think we got to see a pretty decent gain out of that 385 project, even though deep down I think we could do better. That's the way to look at it. You know, that's the way life rolls, right? So, hey, we'll catch you in the next one. Later.